I'm going to be using this lovely new mould I've got from Moulds and Shapes, and some really cute owl inlays. Now these are really fat inlays, so I'm hoping that this mould is deep enough, but we'll check. If not, we can use the little ones. Right, let's put these all to one side and let's crack open my flower press. This is a really cheap flower press I got from Amazon. They're a sort of autumnish colour anyway in some cases, even though we're not in autumn. So we'll be using those. I've got these which are from the Tiny Turner, Chameleon Pigments. I've got that which is a nail art one. This is also from the Tiny Turner. I think it might be a bit too vivid for what I'm doing here. I've got some gold flakes. I've got some like a coppery coloured, what's it called, blazing bronze, metal powder, and I've got these as well. Now these were from Just For You Online, and they are their, what they're called, crush set. And I just noticed that in this crush set there's obviously gold flake. There's also these deep red bits of shell. There's also some regular abalone shell and some other bits and pieces too, which are rather gorgeous. So all in all, I've got quite a lot of stuff. Whether I'll use it all, I don't know. Anyway, let's get the powders onto the little owls first. Now this is going to take a little while because I want to paint them on a little bit more carefully than I usually do. So I've got a Wonder Wipe ready, and I've got to decide what colour I'm going for the main body, and I think it's going to be this, which is a chameleon pigment called Inferno. And this is one of the ones from that Tiny Turner. So these are going to be fiddly. Now I'm just going to paint it on like this. I'm getting into the tops of his little feathers. Don't forget that at the bottom of my video descriptions there is always a link to my full product list. It's always work in progress because there will always be, you know, some that I haven't found the link yet for, or ones that I can't find the link for the UK as well as for the USA or something like that. But it's growing all the time. There may also be products I've missed, so if you are looking at that product list and you think, well, where's that one then, Tracy? If I've missed it, just let me know and I'll go digging and see if I can find it and add it. But the intention is that will keep growing and it will be a full product list, because whilst at some point I hope to have an Amazon storefront, of course not everything is from Amazon. Not much of this is, to be fair. Two of the pigments are, and the nail powder, but other than that most of this isn't through Amazon. Yeah, I think I will give them green faces. I know that sounds a bit weird, but let's go with green. This colour flips all sorts of mad colours as well. So let's go green faces. This is my easy way of cleaning my brush off, by the way. Just rub it on the mat and the silicone of your mat will pull off any powder from the brush. Because you don't really want a wet brush, do you? Now what we're going to do is go around his little face. Right, so what I've got here is just a chrome finish marker pen. The ones I was going to use, I think the tip might be a bit big because they're chisel tip. You probably know I tend to use either Deco Art or the Just For You Online resin coaster edging pen things. But this is a chrome pen. Again, I'll put you the link below if I can still find them. I've had this one a long time. And that will just give us a little silver dot in his eyes. That's it. I think you can still get them. Because we're going to see this from the other side, aren't we? So, coating it with this is just going to pick up all the gaps that haven't been coloured already. Don't forget, when you're doing your mica powders, your metallic powders, whatever they are, what you put on that's against the silicone, for most projects anyway, that's what you're going to see. So although this looks like we're hiding all of that lovely colour with this beautiful gold, actually we're not really. Now this is the first time I've used these inlays. You are witnessing my new product and its first experimental phase. There we are. Right, now I need to have a good clean up and then we'll start putting some different colours and things in and the leaves. PPE, here we come. Get your gloves, get your mask. Make sure you're all well ventilated. And away we go. Right, just going to stir this up now because I'm impatient. And I'm just putting in a base layer here really. I'm using the Let's Resin quick, what's it called? Fast Cure, that's it. It's really good stuff. I've got a couple of resins that I use for quick cure stuff at the moment, both very, very good. Don't worry if there's a few bubbles in it, they just disappear on their own very, very well. And we can always spritz the surface with alcohol or hit it with a, you know, a lighter or something to shift them anyway, if there's a few stubborn ones. Now all I'm doing is getting this, see it's very thick because it's a fast cure, it's a high viscosity one. Now I'm just going to get a base layer in here, and that is simply because I want to get a layer down that the leaves can sit onto, and it doesn't even need to fully be cured or anything like that. I just wanted you know, a bit of a surface so that there's resin between the leaves and the air once it's cured, if that makes sense. So this is from Just For You online, and we're going to take a little dollop of it and pop it into this pot. That's probably way more than enough. So what we've got used materials wise so far, let me just tell you while I'm stirring this up, is the silicone for these was from Let's Resin. As you probably know, that is the silicone I always use unless I can't get hold of it for whatever reason, but it is my go-to silicone. It's wonderful for making moulds, inlays, anything like that. And because it's translucent, if it's a, you know, a smallish, thinnish mould, then of course it's fine for using your ultraviolet curing resin with. The resin is from Let's Resin, the powder, various sources for the powders. Now what I do need to do with that powder, just to make sure I get a real good gold, not just put it into the little pot of resin, but also go around with a brush. So I'm just going to go into this cavity here, and I'm just going to paint it onto that flat surface, or try to. Worried about getting the powder coming off my little owls. Right, this is the bit where we have to make absolutely sure we're happy with the placement of everything, because we're going to start putting the resin in. Now, the gold I'm just going to pour around this edge. These little paper shot glasses, by the way, really good for this sort of thing. So I'm just going to go all the way around with this. Right, there you go, that's our gold in. Bit of a clean up again. It's the nice thing about these high quality moulds. They clean so easily when you're doing this sort of thing. We've got our gold in. Now, all I want to do with the clear is put down enough. I probably ought to wait for this to cure, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to put down enough for the leaves to sit onto, which will probably blend in with the gold a bit, and that's really okay. Actually, let's just pour it in, and that's really okay. But really at this stage, just a thin layer to sit the leaves onto. I don't want to fill it up too much because it's starting to push that gold around, because I do want to obviously back it with some other colours. Okay, so I think that's going to be enough. while it spreads itself out and does its thing, I'll try not to disturb it too much, because I would like the gold to mostly stay where it is. Some is floating up though. Remember I said the gold will float? The surplus of the powder floats, and you get this lovely effect going on the surface. So the heavier the stayed put, it's gone into the bottom of that crevice all the way around, and you'll get a bit then floating up onto the surface of the resin as well, which normally would be the back, but because we're going to put another layer in here of whatever colour we decide to go for, then it will be within the design. So all I'm doing is popping my little leaves on. They're sitting on the surface of this resin, but I'm just making sure I push them down so there's no bubbles underneath them. They won't be deep into the resin, it's just a protective layer over them really, and it is done that encouraging the gold to float. Wish I'd got some of the really small leaves left still. Good ones. I say these were actually picked a few weeks ago. I think it was in it might have even been in June still. It is the start of September as we're videoing this. So these by no means are into their autumn colours. These are just these two particular trees, just what they do in the summer. But they're a nice muted green, and then this lovely reddish tinge to the edges. And then some of them are quite red. Like, well, it's got quite a lot of red in it, hasn't it? So basically I'm going to cover as much as I can of the back like this. Did anybody else talk to their craft stuff? I talk to the resin in all sorts. Sometimes you hear it. When I edit, I do trim quite a lot out. These people have said to me, why don't you trim more out? Well, I could do. I tend to trim about 40% to 50% more sometimes out as it is, because I do waffle. And then of course there's the speedy up bits. Trust me, you don't want 2 hours of me waffling. Some of the big long marathon videos I do, that's quite intentional, and those start out at about 4 hours sometimes and end up at about 2. It amazed me when some of you actually watched end to end some of those. Just glad that you found value. The idea was that you could skip through and pick out the bits you wanted, and it seems that's what a lot of people are doing, or they're grabbing a cup of tea and watching the whole thing. All I can say is thank you, but you do need to get out more, people. Did you know that the more of a video you watch, the more it helps your favourite YouTube craft person, or YouTuber in general? It just does. The longer the view times that we're getting, the more YouTube pays us. Did you know that? You probably did. So this is what we're doing here. We're putting more leaves at the top because I'm trying to get like a leaf canopy effect. And I'm just going to drizzle a little bit more clear on top of there. Now one thing you will have noticed is that these owls are really fat, so I hope this tray is deep enough to cope with that. But I'm just going to put a little drizzle of this over, and I'm going to coat the back of them while I'm at it, just with a light covering, because like I said, we're going to put our backing colour in afterwards. So I'm hoping we're going to get kind of a bit of an organic effect going on here. And because we're putting resin behind the leaves as well as in front of them, not only will they be well sealed into the project, they will stand out a little bit from the background too. A bit, but that's kind of what I was after. Right, I'm just going to scoop out this last little dribble out of my pot. Okay, I'm back, and it's been an hour, and this is starting to firm up a little bit. I've done this a little bit, taken a few of the bubbles off the surface. That's about it. Now I did remember after I left you that I was going to put some flakes in and some of these little red chips. So let's have a look at them before this cures up too much. So get the lid off first of all. Oh, aren't they pretty? Those are shinier than I thought. Nice. So I'm just going to put a few in here and there, basically. You only get a few in a little jar, so you don't want to go too crazy with these. But just thought they'd add a little bit of something extra, really. I'm guessing these would be better used really for things like jewellery, where you really only need one or two, because they are little bits of shell, so they're quite precious, aren't they? And there's one side shinier than the other, so I'm just trying to turn them over and make sure we've got the shiny side down. So I've just put a few at the bottom, so it looks like we've got a bit of autumn leaves going on. Right, clean my tweezers, because we're going to go in with some flakes now. I've gone for the gold flakes. I'm wondering whether this might be too much gold. I don't know. But again, I'm just putting a few little patches here and there. Don't worry about my tweezers getting covered in resin, by the way. I do dip them in silicone. Oh God, that's too much. That's way too much. Yeah, I dip them in silicone. It makes them easier to clean later. Oh, I've gilded myself again. So just spreading these around a little bit. Again, it's just that little bit of sparkle. Incidentally, soon I'm going to be doing a video using the gilding flakes on the back of these silicone inlays. It's just something I've not tried yet, and I've thought of, so I'm going to. Simple as that. No messing. I've used it in many other things, as you'll know from a lot of my videos. Right, clean up time again, but that's all I wanted to show you. I was just chucking in a bit of shiny stuff. See you later. Okay, back again. This looks like it's all curing up nicely. It's just got a slight stickiness to it, so I should stop poking, shouldn't I? I haven't got gloves on. Right, I'm going to get PPE'd up and we're going in with the next layer then. Okay, getting the resin mixed up here. Let me introduce you to the colour I'll be using. I don't know why I decided pink, but I just think it's a very soft pink and it might be a bit pearly. And it's a new set I've got. It's the Essential Pigment Powder set, pack of 10 from Just For You online. So I wanted to try it anyway. I'll do a proper product review video on those at some point. I know I have done on quite a lot of their other products. I'll be gradually working my way through the Let's Resin ones as well. A lot of them I'd already got long before they started sending me stuff to test anyway. So I have done a test video on this resin. You will find it in my product testing list. There's a playlist. That's where I put all my product tests, so product reviews rather. So if you want to, if you're thinking, I wonder if Tracy's tested one of these yet, before you go ahead and buy anything like that, feel free to have a look in there. To be fair, I haven't really tested anything that I haven't particularly liked so far, but there are some things like powders and colours that you might look at and think, yeah, it's obviously good and Tracy likes it, but it might not be for me. That's fine, just showing you as I see it. Also, there's some of the fancy gadgets that I've got that I show you. You may or may not think you need them. I certainly lived without the debubbling machine for quite a long time, and I don't use it that often, although it's very, very good. But I don't use it very often at all. But, you know, I show you these things as I see them, and you make your own decisions. Because you're big boys and girls. Right, that's starting to clear nicely now. Obviously I'm going to do a bit more stirring yet, but I'm going to put some of this pink in. Let me just move the camera so you can see what's going on with the colour. Look at the mess I've got on my desk behind there. Dearie me. Right, this is a pigment powder. I'm going to open it to the side because I do tend to shoot it everywhere and we don't really want it all over the back of my piece. Not yet anyway. So there it is. Just looks like a nice pale dusky pink. Now I have a feeling that this is going to be very pearly and be a kind of, yeah, it is. It's a very subtle pink. my next question is to myself, how opaque do I want it? Now, it's gone a little bit darker than it looked in the pot actually. See, this is why I sometimes make powders into paste, so that you can, part of the reason anyway, you can see what colour they're really going to end up. Let's put quite a bit in. Now I have got a dusky pink actually in a paste, proper bought paste, but I thought this time I wanted, because this is all a bit rather shimmery, I thought I wanted a bit of pearl rather than a, you know, flat colour. That's looking really nice, isn't it? Okay, let's move the camera back. Now I'm going to have to get this fairly deep. Maybe I might need to dome the back off afterwards, because I've got to cover these guys. Now if anybody buys these little inlays, bear in mind they are chunky. You do need a deeper mould to put them in. This is really pushing its luck. The back of these is going to be quite shallow. So this might take a couple of coats. I'm still using that fast cure resin. So you see this pink, it's got almost a slightly goldish sheen to it actually. It's probably perfect for this. Oh, look at that. It almost looks edible, doesn't it? And it's still a little bit translucent. Maybe I didn't mix it in so well at the bottom. And as you can see, the little birdies are sticking out a little bit still. So yeah, I think I am going to have to put a little bit of a doming layer to it. I'm starting to wonder if my levelling table isn't quite level as well. Anyway, I'm just going to mix up a little bit more and load that up a bit more. So here we go, a bit more. And play it up a bit more with this pink in it. This pink has definitely got a bit of a gold touch to it. Now, I just hope this mould is going to be deep enough to completely cover the little birdies. As I say, I am loading this up. It is doming. I think it's just about going to do it. I'm relying on the surface tension to hold with me here. So yeah, if you do get any of these little inlays, do bear that in mind. When I say chunky in the advert, I am not kidding. It's their beaks that's the problem. The little owls aren't a problem, they're not that chunky. Well, just because they're smaller, that's all. But these really are. So you do need a good depth in your resin. Okay, yeah, I'm going to put a bit more in yet and hope that this surface tension holds it. And I will see you later for the demould. Right, demould time. Now, as you can see, their little beaks are still sticking out. I have domed the back off, but what I am going to need to do, I think, is just put some little feet on here. I normally do anyway, to be honest, so I've got a nice surface to go onto my cupboard or whatever, so it doesn't scratch. So, and I'll need to do a little bit of trimming here as well, but never mind. Love that kind of pinky colour. It's almost like a rose gold, isn't it? Now I obviously need to do a bit of trimming, but here we go. Excited to turn this over, but I'm going to try to be good because I want to trim that off first while it's still soft. You see, this is what quick way of getting rid of overspill. Obviously deburring tools are great. Now this shouldn't have happened. This was just because I was trying to fill it up to cover those little inlays. There, I'll get the rest off later with the deburring tool, but that's got the most of it. Right, now as I can see, the gold has worked. I did get a few little bubbles down into the edges of it, but nothing major. I'm pleased with the leaves and that pink in the background. Right, we now need to get our little inlay out. Now, what I'm going to use is one of my stirring sticks. These should come out quite easily now. I can see the silicone, the resin has gone under a little bit there, but I'm not going to worry. That's just where his little feet are. They do come out quite easily once you've got them started. And let's see if the colours have taken. Yes, the colours have taken. Now, this then begs the question. I was going to fill these up with clear. Now, I think I'm going to have to because of the little beak situation. But, do I or don't I? Because there is a coating on the back, it's just thin. taking away some little bits of overpour there. Well, bits that have gone underneath the silicone. Underneath, yeah, under the silicone. Bits of resin that have gone under, that's what I mean. Look at the little inlays have come out pretty clean as well. The colour has transferred, including that silver pen. That was good to know. I haven't done that before. I wasn't sure whether that would work, but it has. There. Now, this begs the question about filling those in. I kind of like holes. I've done a few where I've left the little hole, and it's you know, rather than fill it in. And I might do the same with that. Looks like I just need to trim that little bit off there. I might leave that until it's really, really hard, and it should just pop off like this is doing. But there we go. We have a tray. What do you think, folks? And do you like my little inlays? Let's see how flat it will sit. Actually, you know what? That does sit flat despite the little beaks. I can see why. It's flattening down. There we are. So there we go, you can see the leaves. I did get a few bubbles under the leaves, but I think they add to it. The colours work beautifully with the little owls. The gold worked nice as well. Just a couple of little bubbles around the edges, but I don't think that matters. So yeah, I'm pleased with that. What do you think, folks? Let me know what you think. Anyway, there we are. Video done. I am not going to fill those in. I've decided I'm going to leave them just as they are. If you wanted it to be a bit more practical and easier to keep clean, yeah, you could fill them up with clear, but I'm not going to, because I think I like them like this. So I'll see you for the next video then, folks. Do give me a thumbs up if you like this one. I hope you do, because I really do. I'm quite excited by it. And I will see you all for the next video. Bye then.